Hi everybody and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Many of you already know this, but I'm sure a lot of you don't. I am a new dad and in just a few short weeks I'm going to have 3 under 3. So let me tell you, family vehicles are more important to me than ever. And that's just one of the reasons why today we're taking a look at this 2021 Volvo XC90 Recharge. Now this is the plug-in hybrid version of Volvo's largest family hauler, and we're going to review it. So in this video, we'll hit the road, we'll do a fuel economy test, and then we'll look at the price point and see whether or not this thing is worth it. Let's begin with the walkaround. And the first thing I want to tell you is that this XC90 Recharge is not new. It is the same as the old XC90 T8 model. Volvo just added on that Recharge badge because they decided to brand all of their electric vehicles as Recharge. So for 2021, it's basically just a new name here, not a new model. So now let's talk about this power plant. Up front here, we have a 2-liter turbocharged and supercharged 4-cylinder engine. Now this only powers the front axle. At the back axle, you have an 87 horsepower electric motor, and the total system output here is 400 horsepower and 472 pound-feet of torque. And when you combine the low-end torque of the electric motor with the low-end torque of the supercharger, this thing really gets moving off the line. Now, another thing I have to talk about here is styling. This XC90 was first revealed to us at the 2015 Paris Motor Show. That was back in 2014. And when it rolled out, it looked beautiful. And to my eyes, 6 years later, it still looks beautiful. I don't think it looks old whatsoever. I don't think it looks outdated next to its competition. And that's a testament to Volvo styling. They rolled it out, like I said, 6 years ago, but it still looks modern. Please let me know now what you think of the styling here on the XC90. Now let's look at the rear end, and this hatch is foot activated. Of course, these systems are always a little finicky. There it is. So it does work. Now, the nice thing about the XC90 here is you have quite a bit of storage space with your back seats folded down, but this is actually a 7-seat model. 2 up front, 3 in the bench in the middle, and then you get 2 seats back here in the back. And what I like about them, and you can see it here, you can fold them up one at a time, so it can just be a 6-seater, and then you can just have storage on the one side. It's nice to have those different configurations. Now, another cool thing back here at the rear end of the XC90 is buttons to control the air suspension. So take a look, I can hit the down button here, and down she goes. Why would you want this? Well, if you're loading something in, I mean, something as simple as groceries, sure, but if you got to carry something heavy and put it in the back end of your Volvo, it's nice to be able to drop down that height, and then when you're all done, the whole thing just pumps right back up. Besides that, there's little storage cubbies here and here, D-rings to tie down your stuff. There's a lot of attention that's been paid back here to the rear end of the XC90. Well, folks, here we are driving in the XC90, and we wanted to do some off-roading, so we came out here to our local unmaintained county road. This is where we bring most all-wheel drive SUVs now. It's just enough to really see how they deal with some slippery conditions. And actually, there's a really perfect ditch for testing how it splits the power, so let's just go ahead and start with that test right now. This ditch right here is going to allow us to test the all-wheel drive. Now this first pass, Dad is coming into it just in regular, everyday hybrid driving mode because we want to see what happens. So keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Okay, now hard driver, yep, and we should get that lift. There it is. She's just a spinning. And there it goes. Okay, so that was regular hybrid driving. It really needed a beat to figure out what to do. And honestly, it was the front wheels that pulled it through there. They really had to dig in. So now, yeah, come on back, Dad, and we'll try it again in off-road mode. Come on, baby. There it goes. Well, you know what? Even in off-road mode, it still took a beat for it to figure out how to send that power around and get it through the ditch. But it eventually did make it. And you know what? This is a good view. You can really see that added ground clearance here from those pumped up airbags. And here comes our last run. This is in full-time all-wheel drive mode. So it should be sending power to all four, but you're not gonna get the suspension lift that you do in off-road mode. And let's see if this is any different. Oh, well, that was much better. Isn't that interesting? In full-time all-wheel drive mode there, it definitely sent power to the wheel with traction much quicker than it did in standard mode and even in off-road mode. So that's an interesting difference for sure. Now, as we bump down the trail here, we do have this XC90 in off-road mode. So that means the air suspension is raising up to give you extra ground clearance. That is great. It's nice to have the clearance coming over those rocks. I think Dad will say this too. It felt confident. You weren't worried. Yep. However, you have to admit that it gets quite stiff. Once those airbags are pumped up, you really feel every single bump out here. So there's a trade-off.
Yeah, but on that, you know, to that point, that's what I want. I want it to feel stiff. I don't want to feel like I'm going to bottom out, particularly on rough stuff like this. And besides, as soon as I get out of here, I'm just going to change the setting.
Yeah, fair enough. And we should talk more about the setting, because one thing Volvo does is they take a lot of choices out of your hands. So what I mean by that is when you go to off-road mode, the air suspension lifts the vehicle, and then you also get hill descent control, which turns on automatically. You don't have to touch anything. It just comes on with off-road mode. And it's funny, we didn't know that at first, so we started going down a hill. Dad took his foot off the brake, and it kept on braking. But it is nice to have those things, and it's kind of nice for them to be set it and forget it. I don't know, what's your feeling on that?
It's like this little assortment of tools that you're getting when you put it in off-road mode, and everything just applies.
Yeah.
Once you get off of that section of road or whatever it is you're into, then you turn it off and they go away. Mm-hmm. So I kind of liked it.
Mm-hmm. Actually, what's even cooler, we just made the transition from off-road to on-road, and when you get over a certain speed threshold, the Volvo says, well, we're not in off-road anymore. It lowers itself down, softens right out, so you didn't even have to hit a button there, and it's already more comfortable.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't have to think about it.
yeah, and I think that's a good thing. We don't like thinking very much.
Well, certainly I don't.
And then once you get out here and you're cruising on the road, this thing is comfortable. Quiet is definitely something we've both noticed. This little 2-liter, it's only a 4-cylinder. From outside, it's actually kind of buzzy, kind of raw and annoying sounding.
Almost diesel-y.
Yeah, so when you're standing outside the vehicle, it's like, oh, that doesn't sound very luxurious. And then you get inside, and it's basically non-existent. So they've done a really beautiful job of keeping things nice and quiet in here.
What's really amazing is how much power they've managed to get out of that little 2-liter.
Yeah, the twin charging is really wild, especially in this package, because this is like just every technology thrown at the wall, right? Supercharger, turbocharger, put a battery in there, put a plug on it. So it's all the technologies in one. But I think the big advantage, besides the fuel efficiency, is you're getting low-end torque out of a supercharger and a battery pack. So with 400 horsepower and all that torque, this thing just really flies off the line too. So like I said, as a package driving down the road here, XC90 feels like a really nice luxury SUV. I think the problem it has is it's a weak plug-in hybrid. If you fully charge this XC90, you're only getting 29 kilometers of all electric range. And I know they're not direct comparable at all, but we just recently tested the Toyota RAV4 Prime, and that thing gets 70 kilometers of all electric range. And at 70K, that's a really usable number. At 29 kilometers, I mean, you need to have a really short commute, or you need to commute to work and then plug back in so you can get home. Yeah, it makes the business case or the usage case for the plug-in a lot weaker, in my opinion.
That number's just low. Particularly when you compare to what's out there right now. Everybody else has really stepped up their game. Mm-hmm. So if you're really kind of interested in that hybrid thing, and then you come in to take a look at the Volvo, and this is not a cheap vehicle. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there is, and to what Steve's saying, I had the same feeling, which is, say, like with the Prime, with 70 kilometers of electric, that would probably get you through maybe every day of your work week, to and from. A little bit of, you know, running around, errands, grocery getting. You may not actually burn any gas till you get to the weekend. I don't think that would be the case with the Volvo.
Exactly. I mentioned in my walk around that the XC90 here was brand new back in the 2015 model year. And from the outside, it doesn't look dated. And I don't think it looks dated from the inside either. You know, this interior hasn't really been updated very much in those 5-6 years. But it's really nice in here. It's luxurious, it's modern. I love the materials, this nice wood finish in front of me with the chrome and the stitching. Volvo's infotainment system here, a little busy. There's a lot going on and a lot to figure out, but there is a lot of great information. And I think that leads me to my next thing. It's things we've been noticing. There's just some weird things in here, and they're probably not weird to a Volvo owner. They're just weird to us because we don't drive very many Volvos. And if you don't drive very many Volvos, you probably won't be used to these things either. Such as, to start and stop the vehicle, you twist this little dial. It's not a button, it's not a key, it's a little twist knob. That's a little weird. One that really bugs me, to go from park to drive, you can't just go right down into D. You have to go park, neutral, drive. You got to pull down on that little crystal shifter twice to get it into drive. I don't totally understand that. I'm not complaining about those things. They're just funny little oddities that we've noticed.
Yeah, they're different things, and I mean, we have to look at our skill set, our mindset is North American centric. So maybe this is more of a European thing. I don't know. Maybe it's the Swedish, you know, IKEA model, because that's kind of the way I feel about the actual architecture in here. It's pleasant. It's contemporary. It's just it's going to look the same this year and next year and the year after that, and I think it's going to age really well from that point of view, as Steve has mentioned, like from the outside. It's a nice design, and it doesn't look tired or dated at all. So the interior is pretty much exactly the same thing.
And finally, gotta mention, it's expensive. What does it cost? Well, here in Canada, this model we're sitting in, this is the Inscription, so basically top of the line with all the options. We're talking about $85,000 Canadian. So it's certainly expensive, but when it comes to this sort of package with 7 seats and a hybrid, there's only one clear competitor right now, and that would be the Lincoln Aviator. Besides that, you can't really get another vehicle with this specific package of 7 seats and a plug. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why you got to consider the XC90, just because there's not a lot of vehicles in this configuration. Well, folks, we're coming to the end of this video, so what's the verdict? Well, this XC90 as a luxury SUV is excellent. It's quiet, comfortable, and capable. But as a plug-in hybrid, it's not that great. The usable range just needs to be higher to make this thing a little bit more practical. But look, if you're not chasing after that hybrid range, well then let me tell you, this XC90 is gonna offer you miles and miles of comfortable driving, plus something unique that a lot of your neighbors might not have parked in their driveway. Like I said, folks, that's it for this one. Now, please go below. Let me know what you think of the XC90, of the channel. Leave us that comment. While you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next.